Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together. Today, we alternate to practicing a breathing technique. In the Chinese, it's called a tu na. Tu means to breathe out, and na means to breathe in. But it's not just using your nose to breathe. The nose is like the chimney. It's really using the diaphragm, breathing with the lower part of your stomach. So last week we were practicing a Qigong practice, original Qigong practice called Yi Jin Jing. So I think of the two practice as one being the necessary and one being the sufficient. So that's the language that we use back in the days when I was an engineering professor, meaning that our goal is longevity. Our goal is to improve our health span, not just our lifespan, being able to live independently and being able to live mindfully. And the most important thing we can do is actually to restore the harmony and the balance of our autonomous nervous system. Autonomous nervous system is the fight or flight, that's the sympathetic, the energetic mode, and rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic, the restorative mode. So today's exercise looks a lot like Tai Chi exercise. So in Tai Chi, we're talking about the harmony of our joints, harmony of the 6 joints, the wrists with the heel, the elbow with the knee, the shoulder with the hip. So we're going to start with that by doing some joint exercise, but it's a mindful joint exercise, meaning that we need to anchor our mind on our body, on our wrist, on our shoulder, on our elbow. But first, we're going to learn to sit properly to improve our qi. Qi is a word that we use for life energy. We're going to start by anchoring our mind on the very bottom of our spine. Now we're going to stretch our spine by moving from the bottom of our spine towards the top of the head, along the spine, very slowly, very mindfully, one joint at a time. As we move up, we're going to stretch our spine towards the ceiling. Stretch it as hard as you can. And then we're going to lean back and relax. Now we're going to work on the shoulder. We're going to lift up our shoulder as if we're bringing our shoulder to our ears. Now we're going to open the shoulder as if we're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. And then we're going to drop our shoulder, relax the shoulder. Now we're going to focus on the forehead. We're going to lean back the forehead, putting the ears on top of the shoulder. And then we're going to tuck in the chin slightly, putting the top of the head on top of central nervous system. This posture is called the one pillar supporting the sky. The idea is that we're now putting our being between the heaven and the earth. So when we talk about qi, it's not really energy inside of us. It's not really energy that we ate, that come from what we ate this morning. It's really the energy between the universe, between the heaven and earth. In scientific terms, it's the magnetic energy. And so we meditate in order to create a coherent electrical field. And with the electrical field, we have a magnetic field around us. And that magnetic field will resonate with the magnetic field in the universe. That ultimately is what is necessary for health. This is true with the yogis. This is true with the Taoists. This is true with the Buddhist meditator. Now we're going to focus on the wrists. I want you to feel your wrists. And then now shift the focus to your elbow. I want you to feel your elbow. And then finally to your shoulder. I want you to feel your shoulder. We're going to start with the wrist. So I want you to focus now on the center of your palm. I want you to bring up the hands very slowly, very mindfully. Bring it all the way to the top, the same height as your shoulder. Now I want you to focus on the wrist, and then I want you to turn your wrist very slowly, very mindfully. Each turn is independent of another. Each turn has a beginning and an end. And I want you to develop this habit of every time you get to the beginning of something is when you calibrate your mind, check your mind, see if your mind is actually on the wrist. And if it's not, it's either in the past or in the future. I want you to bring it back and just focus on your wrist. And once you bring it back, I want you to commit to just one cycle from the beginning to the end. And when you get to the end, I want you to learn to congratulate yourself and say, oh, that was a good one. Let me try another one. And so what we're practicing is two of what we call the parami. One is the determination parami at the beginning, and one is the diligence parami at the end. One turn at a time. And in between the beginning and the end, I want you to feel the change in your body. So this is what we call observation. Observe the change in your body. Now I want you to turn the other way. And again, focus on the wrist, mindfulness. So we are actually doing meditation right now. I call this mindfulness in motion. You can meditate when you walk, you can meditate when you work, you can meditate when you exercise. Of course, you can meditate when you sit, stand, and lie down. Now I want you to lower your hand, focus on the center of your palm, bring it down the same way you brought it up. And now I want you to stretch your spine again, lift up the shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, relax the shoulder, relax the upper torso. We're going from the wrist to the elbow. I want you to focus on the center of your palm, bring it up. Very slow, very gently, very mindfully. And now I want you to focus on the elbow. Again, turn one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Realize that each turn has a beginning and an end. Beginning is when you practice your determination, and at the end is when you practice your um, recommitment. One turn at a time. Focus on the change in your elbow. Now I want you to turn the other way. Again, in the beginning is determination. At the end is your diligence. One at a time. Now I want you to lower your hand, but before you lower your hand, I want you to anchor the mind on the center of your palm. Bring it back down. And now, once again, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back, and relax. We're going from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder. Now I want you to focus on the center of your palm. Bring up your hand, but cross your hand this time very slowly. Bring it up in front of you. Bring it on top of you. Now I want you to point your fingers towards the ceiling and stretch as hard as you can. And before you come down, I want you to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. Open your shoulder. Feel that pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. The pain is gone. What's left is just the memory of the pain. So I want you to focus now back on the center of your palm. Point to the ceiling. Stretch as hard as you can. Point the palm outward. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. Come back to the center of your palm. All the way up. Stretch as hard as you can. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. We're going to do this 2 more times. For following the center of your palm, all the way up. Stretch. Point the palms outward. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. Don't let it become suffering. Just let go of the pain. And then one last time. Stretch. And then open that. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. And now we're going to go the other way. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Follow the center of your palm. Stretch. Follow the center of your palm. Bring it back down. 2 more times. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Open first. One last time. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now we're going to go from front to back. Front to back. And once again, bring up your shoulder. Open the shoulder. Lean back. Relax. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it in front of you. Follow the center of your palm. Now you know the pain is coming, right? So let's confront that pain. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. let go of the pain. Let go of the memory of the pain. Bring it back up. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Don't let it become suffering. You get attached to the memory of the pain. That pain becomes suffering. Let it go. 2 more times. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. One last time. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. All right. Now, once again, sit up straight, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. We're going to do from the back to front. All the way to the back. Follow the center of your palm. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. One last time. All the way back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now we're going to go from moving to not moving, going from dynamic to static. And we're going to now meditate while we sit. And when you move, you meditate, you anchor your mind on your shoulder, on your elbow, on your wrist, on the center of your palm, on the bottom of your feet, any part of your body. But when you sit, when you slide down, and when you stand, you meditate on your breath. You anchor your mind on your breath. But before we do that, let's take a tiny step, a middle step. It's called knowing. Now I want you to just say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I can feel the change in my body as I breathe in. I know I'm breathing out. So I talk about the importance of rebalancing your autonomous nervous system. And this is something you need to remember, is that when you exercise to enhance that balance, meaning that there are 2 exercises you need to do. One is energetic, right? And in the West, we typically think of exercise only as energetic. But as much time as you spend on your fight or flight mode, the energetic mode, you need to find a way to come back and unwind yourself and focus on the rest and digest. And you do that by just sitting down, by standing, by lying down. You can even do that when you move. And when you know that you're back into the rest and digest, and it's when you can feel the wetness inside your mouth, right? We call that saliva. Now, saliva doesn't come from the mouth. It actually comes from the inside of your tongue and is controlled only by your brain, right? You cannot make it happen unless you are completely relaxed, unless you're completely focused on your breath. And so this is what we need to do. Just focus on the breath and start with something simple as knowing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. And you can feel the wetness inside your mouth. You are self-hydrating. Now, the saliva is actually quite important, right? The reason why the saliva is turned off during fight or flight is because your body wants to prioritize. And when you're in a fight or flight, historically, this is when we're either chased by animal or we're chasing after animal. And so the body would say, oh, at that time, you want to focus on protecting yourself. So it turns off your immune system, your digestion system, your reproduction system. It turns off all the biological functions that your body thinks that you don't need at the moment because you're trying to survive. The problem is that these days we're trying to survive 24/7. And that's why our mouth is so dry. And that's why our immune system is bad. Our digestion system is bad because we're always in fight or flight. And so the necessary condition is to come back to that balance. And we do that with meditation. And more importantly, we do that by learning how to breathe with the diaphragm, right? You cannot breathe your lung. The lung has no muscle. The lung is like 2 big sponges. And so it breathes only with muscle. And when we're born, we use a diaphragm because that was the only muscle we have. As we grow old, we start to lose the ability to use a diaphragm because we're getting more stressful, and we start to use the muscles on the upper part of a body around the shoulder. And so that's why one of the exercises that we do here is to lift up a shoulder, open a shoulder, and relax, right? Okay. All right. So we're going to continue. We're going to do 3 more exercises. Those turn out to be the training exercise for the Shaolin monk. It's a Qigong exercise, and it's energetic as well as restorative. So the first one do is called the double blade. Like you're carrying 2 blades, and the 2 blades are your hand. Now, it's not easy to actually, if you ever seen martial art, they would have a weapon, and it's either a stick, or a knife, a sword, right? Or any kind. But to actually carry 2 weapons requires the coordination of your left brain and your right brain. And so this is part of the exercise. All right, so let's lift up our shoulder again. This is a very important exercise for you to do. Whenever you feel under stress, I want you to learn to lift up your shoulder, lean back, open that shoulder, and then relax, lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin. Now I want you to bring up the left hand, and then I want to stretch out the right hand. I want you to focus entirely on the center of your palm on the right hand, meaning that you're now using the left side of your brain. I want you to bring the right hand in front of you, making a nice big circle. And then I want you to open the shoulder as far back as you can. I want you to feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. The pain is already gone. What's left is just a memory. So accept the pain and then let go of the pain. Switching from the left brain to the right brain, focusing on the left hand. Bring it in front of you. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. And then come back to the right. Switching from one side of the brain to the other. Switching from the logical side to the emotional side and vice versa. Sit up straight. Around. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Sit up straight. Right hand. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Left hand. All the way around. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. 2 more times. One right hand. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Left hand. All the way around. One last time. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Come back. Now we're going to come back to our breath, right? As soon as you come back to the sitting position, you focus on your breath. And you start with just knowing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. You notice that after you do an energetic exercise, as soon as you come back to your breath, the breath is very rushed because you were in fight or flight. But as soon as you pay attention to it, as soon as you whisper to yourself and say that I know I'm breathing in, I know I'm breathing out, then the breath becomes slower, becomes longer, and that says that your mind is becoming slower and more mindful. Okay? So the breath is very important. It's the bridge between your body and your mind. Huh? Okay? All right, we're going to do the second exercise called the throwing your fist. It's a very energetic exercise, sending energy out, and then action equal to reaction, and energy coming back. So I talk about qi not as the energy within you, but rather your interaction with the energy around you, right? So it's a magnetic coupling. And so the energy that goes from the inside of the body, right, where it's going out into the extremities, the fingers, the other set of extremities are the toes, extremities on top of the head, and so forth. And what's going out is what we call yang, energy according to the sun. And then when we return, The restorative energy is called yin, the absence of the sun. It's just like back in the days when we used to live in the cave, right? In the presence of the sun is when you're outside, when you're under danger. That's sympathetic. When you're away from the sun inside the cave, that's when you're in the comfort of your shelter. And so that would be rest and digest. That's our evolution. It's been like that for, I don't know, hundreds of millions of years. It just hasn't been like that for the last 60 years. So, in fact, we're trying to outpace our evolution. And so all we're asking is just kind of go back a little bit, right? Go back a little bit to the day that we were born. And even before that, when we're inside the womb of a mother, it was very comfortable, very safe. And that was the time that we used the diaphragm, right? That was how we get nutrients into our body. But not only that, that's how we got life energy from our mom. So just go back to that. That's the most comfortable, most harmonious time of our existence. That's all, right? Okay, so now the next exercise is called throwing the fist. It's a very dynamic energy. So once again, let's lift up our shoulder. I always do that, huh? I always do that. That's what we do. And then open the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Now we're going to focus on the right palm. Bring up the hand, make a fist, follow the fist, get ready. Feel the vibrations in your body. Up, sit up straight, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. Now open the shoulder, follow both fists. 1, come back, feel the vibration. 2, completely focus on your body. 3, 4, and 5. Now come back to the breath again. Going back into rest and digest. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay. Now, as we age, those 3 measures that we have that I often talk about is constipation, insomnia, and then indigestion. Those are the 3 things that happens as we age, right? And none of them is good for you. None of them is good for you, especially insomnia. If you cannot sleep or the quality of sleep is not good, then you're not restoring your brain, right? You only need about 2.5 hours, 3 hours to restore the body. That's why most of us, when we go to sleep, we can sleep for a little bit, right? And often, if we cannot sleep, you know what to do. You will read a book, you will watch TV, you will get to your point until you're tired. Then the body goes to sleep. But then you wake up again because the body actually restores itself. But you need that additional time to restore to your brain. So sleep is very important. There's a lot of study now that people who suffer from insomnia often lead to dementia. And I know that for a fact. My father couldn't sleep at all at night. And that's very bad. So why is it that you cannot sleep? And I talk about this many times. 3 things. 1, you're still under a lot of stress. 2, your body aches. 3, it becomes a habit. This is the way it is, right? So you need to really work on that. If you want to improve your health span and you want to live a long, happy, and life, then the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, how is the quality of my sleep? And you need to practice that. And you don't practice when you go to sleep. That's already too late. You practice during the day, which is, can I even anchor my mind on my body? Can I anchor my mind on my breath? If you practice during the day, then when you go to sleep, you can then feel your body as you lie down, and then you can focus on your breath, 1 breath at a time, and you go to sleep. right? And the reason you cannot sleep when you're under stress is because your body is full of cortisol, and your body is full of cortisol. Then another chemical that you need wouldn't be there, which is melatonin, and you end up, taking melatonin, which is not good for you. All right. Okay. So now, how do we relax? Well, you practice during the day, and this exercise help you relax. It actually activate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is also called a wandering nerve because it's very involved. It goes entire body from the back of your ear down the neck, shoulder, all the way back into your stomach, connecting with the diaphragm, and then it then goes into all your organs. It's very involved, right? So if you learn to relax by activating the vagus nerve, that will help you. You do that during the day, and then at night you can that becomes available. All right. So we lift up our shoulder, and let's do this, lifting up as high as we can. We lean back. We open the shoulder as far back as we can, and then we relax. Now we take a hand, we take a thumb, and we pivot a thumb onto our shoulder, and we just slightly roll up the fingers. Now we follow the elbow. We lift up the elbow, the entire body goes up. Now I want you to close your eye. I don't want you to look at me. I'm not looking at you. And then now you follow the shoulder. The second step is pointing to shoulder. I don't mean shoulder. I mean elbow. And you point your elbow back as far back as you can, opening your shoulders, squeezing the back. And then you start to relax by dropping the shoulder, elbow. And then you point your elbow forward, looking down. Now notice that the thumb is here, right? So you can move around like this, okay? And then looking down. Now as you raise your elbow, your head is pointing in the front. And then as you point your elbow back, you're opening the shoulder, you're looking at the ceiling slightly, 45 degree. And then as you drop your elbow, you start to look down, hunch, pointing the elbow forward. As you bring up, I want you to breathe in. And then as you come down, I want you to breathe out, pointing the elbow forward. Okay? Now, I talk about how our exercise here is very much like Tai Chi. So the wrist, the heel, the elbow, the knee, the shoulder, and the hip all has to work harmoniously. There are four other things that has to work harmoniously. And let me try to translate and explain. The first is your mind. The second is your determination or your intention. The third is your breath or the chi. And then finally is your body. So when we do this exercise here, you need to put the breath in front of the body. Okay? Don't think of this as a physical exercise and then focus on the body. And then when you have time, I worry about the breath. Turn it around. First, focus on your mind, anchor your mind on your elbow, right? That's why I do this. I said, find a place where you can anchor your mind. It's like the orchestra, right? You have all these pieces that has to work together. And so let's find a conductor. The conductor is the elbow. So let's just focus on the elbow, right? That's the first one, mindfulness. The second one is your determination, your intention, and your diligence, meaning that not just one time, but every time. And so you divide it into beginning and end. And then even the beginning is when you commit, and then in the end is when you recommit. So first is being mindful, and second is being diligent. And then you focus on your breath and let the body follow, right? Okay. And finally, the thing that is different between what we would do and what other people do in terms of Tai Chi, Qigong, and martial art and so forth, is that in the end, this is a practice of the mind, right? And so in the end, you have to let go of everything. And what does it mean by let go? Focus on the sensation, the change in your body, and don't judge. Don't judge. Just let it go and follow. Okay, get ready? All right. So now lift up. Now close your eye. Focus on your elbow. And then lift up your elbow. And then let the body follow. You open and then drop down and then point it forward. Now, introduce the breath. Focus on the breath. Let the body follow the breath. Breathe in and then breathe out. Okay? Focus on the breath and let the body follow. Breathe in, breathe out. Just feel it and don't judge it. Breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Two more times. Breathe in and breathe out. One last time. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay, relax. All right. So sometimes I use the word qi, sometimes I use the word breath, right? And in Chinese is easier. Chinese is the same word. Chinese is the same word. Whether you talk about life energy or you're just talking about taking a breath, it is the same damn word. Makes it easier. It's written differently. Okay. In one way, it's written as a combination of two words, means air and rice. Air and rice. It means that in that case, taking your breath allows you to, your breath is like a nutrient. That's what the word rice means, right? And so then it's talking about the breathing part of qi. Then eventually it gets to another part, which is written differently, two words. On top is a word that sometimes is written as none, nothing, right? That's one way. But actually, if you look inside, it's written as heaven, earth, and the energy within them. It's complicated. And so when we talk about qi, we start with the breath, and then eventually it becomes the energy in us. Now, that only happens when you breathe with the diaphragm. It only happens when you breathe the diaphragm. Because when you breathe with the diaphragm, you breathe in, you open your stomach, you point your belly button forward, you're lowering your diaphragm, you enter into fight or flight. It creates yang energy, rises on your spine. And then when you breathe out, you collapse your stomach, you bring your belly button back, you push up the diaphragm, and you enter into rest and digest. Okay? So that only happens when you breathe through the diaphragm. So in that case, then the word breath and the word qi becomes one. Okay, so now we're going to meditate. But it's the kind of meditations that we also we meditate on our breath and we meditate on our stomach, right? Okay, all right. Now later on, when we get down on the floor, we're going to do that breathing exercise, what we call tuna, or in Sanskrit is pranayama. Prana just breathing in, breathing out. Yama is the practice of breathing in, breathing out. And you know the yogis breathe to the stomach, right? Okay, so now let's come back to our body. Let's stretch, lift up our shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Lean back the forehead, tuck into chin. And we're going to take one step at a time. First, knowing, then anchoring. Then we go to observing and contemplating. Okay, 1, 2, 3. First is knowing. I know I'm breathing in. Just feel the change in your body as you breathe in. I know I'm breathing out. Completely focus on your breath. And again, the beginning is when you breathe in, and the end is when you breathe out. The beginning is when you check your mind, make sure that you are in presence with your breath, and you're not hiding in the two dark corners. One is called the past, one is called the future. When you hide in the dark corner of the past, it becomes very, very, eventually depression comes because you're focusing on things already happened, nothing you can do about it. Or if you hide in the dark corner of the future, you becomes anxious. And that's where anxiety comes in because you're so focused on something that hasn't happened yet. Anything can happen when it hasn't happened yet, right? You know that. So it's not that you don't think about the past, you don't think about the future, it's that you don't overthink it. So why don't we practice on thinking about the present? The present is a breath. The present is a breath. You're living because of the breath. When you were born, you take a breath in. Someday, at the end of this life, you take a breath out. So your breath is your life. So let's just focus on the life. Focus on the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Now we go from knowing to anchoring. Anchoring is what I call mindfulness. You anchor your mind on somewhere, just like if you were a little vessel, a little sampan, a little boat, and you get stuck in a storm. First thing you need to do is anchor. Okay? Anchor. Find a place that is reasonably safe, and then just throw an anchor right out the storm. So now I want you to anchor your mind on your belly button. When you know that you're breathing in, I want you to point the belly button forward, relaxing, opening up the stomach. And when you know that you're breathing out, I want you to bring your belly button back, collapsing the stomach, lifting up the diaphragm. Now, the trick here is not trying to force it to happen. Right? Sometimes when I ask you to relax, the more I ask you to relax, the more anxious you become because it's something you wanted to do. I want to relax. I want to relax. That makes it worse. So just let go. Let go. Use your mind. Use your mind. Focus on your belly button. And when you feel that you're breathing in, just kind of point the belly button. You don't actually have to do it. Just your mind. It's a mind over matter. The body would follow. And when you feel that you're breathing out, just use your mind, point the belly button back. All right. So let's sit for 5 minutes, just focusing on the breath, meditating on the breath, but particularly meditating on our stomach, meditating on opening the stomach when you breathe in, and then opening the stomach when you breathe, closing the stomach when you breathe out. If you cannot do it, it's okay. Just feel the change. See if you can detect any change in your stomach as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Okay. Now, it's actually not that simple. It's not that easy to focus on your breath, but do it in such a way that you will relax, right? A lot of times when I ask you to focus on your breath, you actually become more anxious. So I'll tell you a story. So many years ago, I was flying back from Chicago back to San Francisco, and I sat next to a lady who also from the Midwest, and she was actually um, uh, doing a transit in San Francisco, flying out of the country for the first time. She was with her husband, and she was very, very nervous, very, very nervous. And so I asked her, I said, "Oh, just focus on your breath, focus on your breath." And she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. She had never, you'd be surprised how many people don't know that they're breathing. They only know that they're breathing when they stop breathing. But I'm surprised when I ask people to focus on the breath. They said, "Oh wow, really? How do I do that?" Now, I'm not trying to sell Apple Watch, okay? I'm not trying to sell Apple Watch, but I am trying to sell the idea that for less than the money of a latte once a week, you can buy a piece of instrumentation that would help you meditate. And not only that, it keeps track of your heart pulse, keep track of your oxygen level, and it does many many things. If you wear it at night, you can keep track of your how well you sleep. But there is a function. Let me see if I can bring it out that you can use to keep track of your breath. Okay, you see that? And it just basically asks you to follow breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and it vibrates. So you can actually wear that, close your eye, and then when the watch vibrates, you breathe in, you open your stomach, and then you breathe out, close your stomach. That can actually help. All right. So again, I'm not trying to sell this guy. I'm just saying that for less than the money of a cafe latte once a week, you can buy a piece of instrumentation that can actually help you, right? Okay. All right. So now we're going to move on. We're going to move on. And so I start with knowing. Just know that your breathing is already very good. And I can come to anchoring by moving your stomach as you breathe. I read an article a week ago, and the scientists now are trying to verify that the movement of your stomach can actually activate your brain. And they did that with a bunch of mice. So I can imagine how they strap a bunch of mice somehow and force them to move the stomach and measure the brain. I don't know what they do. All right. Okay. So now the next one actually combine breathing, abdominal breathing, with circulating energy in top and bottom. Now, next week, we're going to talk about the meridians. We're going to do a lot of exercise with the meridians, energy points. But in addition to the 12 meridians, there's actually 8 primary channels, right? Now, I only know 2, right? Most people only know 2. The primary channel in the spine is where all the yang energy travel, and then it comes back in the front, right? That's the restorative energy. I believe this is called the governing vessel, and I don't remember what this one's called. And so we're going to combine all that. And so now I want you to come back to your breath again, and just say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I can feel something. And maybe you can feel how your stomach opens by itself. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. I know, as long as you know that you're breathing in, as long as you know that you're breathing out. Now I want you to anchor your mind on the bottom of your spine. As you breathe in, I want you to move up the spine, going from the bottom of the spine towards the top of the head, as if energy is just traveling along your spine. Now, it's important that you stretch your spine slightly. And then when you breathe out, I want you to come from the top of the head to your forehead to the nose, come down the nose. Now, the tip of the tongue needs to be put behind your teeth, so it becomes a conductive path. So it does come back through your tongue towards your stomach, I want you to lean back and relax. As you breathe in, move up, stretch your spine. As you breathe out, come back, lean back and relax. Okay? Now, if you practice this, eventually you feel like there's energy rising in you, right? As you breathe in, you're taking nutrient. And so Mata says that it's the nourishing breath, right? Your body is nourished by the oxygen that you breathe in. So as the oxygen comes in through the lung, it goes into the liver, and then the liver puts it into blood flow, and then eventually it will rise on your spine, and you can feel the energy in you as you go up, and then you can come back, relax. Okay, so at the very minimum, as you stretch your spine, you feel the life energy rising in you. And then when you breathe out, just lean back and relax. Okay, so thank you, Martha. The other one's called conception vessel, right? Conception vessel. I actually I prefer to call it incubation. So if I go from the Chinese word and translate directly, it's more like incubation. It's like when we're inside the mother's womb, we're being incubated. Okay, that's when a mother is giving us the nourishing energy. So the there's an energy points on the top of the head. That's called 100 meet. All the energy comes together. And then there's the opposite of that, which is between your reproduction organ and your large intestine, and it's right there. It's called the yang meat, and so those are the 2 points actually. And so the governing energy comes up to the top of the head, and then comes down here, and then starting here is your conception vessel, or what I call incubation vessel, and then it comes back down. And so very often, and I noticed that with my wife, is that when she was pregnant and we had 2 child, and there's a little line that goes in here. She has that. And of course, when the baby was born, it disappeared. So the child point to that, and it says that's when the mother is incubating the baby inside the womb, is providing her with all the nourishing energy. And so that's why we separate the organs into yin and yang. Yin is the heart, the lung, the spleen, the liver, and the kidney. Okay, we call those treasure organs, as if a mother is giving us those. They're the treasure of her life. Okay, and then the other ones are, we call it the vessel organs. They are the yang organs. They come later. They are organs that we don't need yet. The large intestine, the small intestine, the stomach, and all those. They come later. That comes after we're able to develop our own energy. Okay, so this is called the governing, and then this is called the conception. That's the normal translation. I prefer to call it incubation. Okay, but in any case, let's just work on that. So as we breathe in, we move from the bottom of the spine to the top of the head, experiencing the energy that are traveling through our governing vessel. And then when we breathe out, we lean back, relax, let it come back to the belly button. Breathe in, stretch, and breathe out. Okay? All right, so let's sit for 5 minutes and then we continue to do more exercise. Now, understanding that when we talk about yang energy, we talk about energies that are traveling out to the universe. So don't stop at the top of the head. Let it go as far away as possible. And then when you breathe out, then everything comes back. Okay? All right. So that's one of the things that a lot of people who practice this technique has a name, and it's called a microcosmic orbit. A lot of people who practice that, they just want to force something happens, go into a loop. That's actually not true. You just want to have it rise, understanding yang energy is what is when the energy travel into the universe. So don't stop it at the top of the head. And then come back, right? So that's why we have a name for this called the wandering dragon chasing the pearl. When the energy rises, you chase after that energy, and then you don't stop at the top of the head. You imagine that you're the dragon, and there is a cloud on top of the dragon, and the dragon wants to return back to the ancestor home as far up as you can. And then it's only when you breathe out that you come back. A lot of people who practice technique, they end up with a really severe headache because they're trying to force it to happen. Okay? Just relax. Now, remember what I said. Start with your mind, being very mindful, anchor your mind on your breath. Practice your diligence, understanding that there is a beginning and an end. You commit at the beginning and you recommit at the end. And you focus on your breath and let the body follow. So the mind is in harmony with your determination. The determination is in harmony with your breath. And then the breath is in harmony with your body. Okay? Don't focus on the body. Focus on your breath. The breath is the bridge between your mind and your body. And just totally relax. Okay? All right. So we're going to do a little bit more exercise, and then we're going to do the tuna or the pranayama, and then we're going to come back and meditate a little bit more. Okay. All right. So I talk about the necessary and the sufficient. Necessary is the harmony, is to restore the harmony between your autonomous nervous system. Right. So more and more now, people are understanding that what we call lifestyle disease. This is the kind of things that we suffer these days are really not they're not caused by outside agent. They're really just our body not living in a harmonious way. So restoring the harmony is becoming very important. It actually helps if you have high blood pressure. And I talked about that yesterday. You know, the Western doctor, they treat high blood pressure as a disease. And so they give you medicine to cure your disease by lowering the high blood pressure. High blood pressure is not a disease. High blood pressure is a symptom. And no one ever talk about what is the reason for high blood pressure. So when you look at it from a traditional Chinese medicine approach, it's a loss of harmony. It's either that you have too much yang energy, meaning that you're always excited, you can't go to sleep because you cannot restore that harmony, or you have too little, right? So it's either that you're too excited or that your heart and the lung are not working efficiently, sufficiently. And so you're not getting enough oxygen into your brain, and your body trying to compensate by uh, uh, increasing the pressure, putting more oxygen into your brain. Or it's the other way, you're getting too excited. So it's important to focus on that. And so abdominal breathing actually will help with your high blood pressure. It would help with your dementia, preventing dementia. It would even help with a lot of emotional problems. And it's a very good technique. It's really necessary. Okay, so we're going to continue now. This time we're going to move to what I call sufficient, right? I'm talking like a professor, I'm an engineering professor now. And sufficient is when you improve the yang energy. Yang energy. As we age, aging is basically a degradation of the yang energy. Okay, so we're going to come back to the body, lift up our shoulder, lean back, and then relax. We're going to take 3 deep breaths by first locking our fingers, putting that in front of a belly button. Now we're going to follow the center of the palm, and we're going to gently breathe in. And then we're going to flip a hand, follow the center palm, looking up, breathe out. Now we're going to stretch, lock the elbow, looking straight ahead, unlock the fingers, pointing the palm outward as if we're climbing on top of a mountain, stretching the upper arm, stretching the shoulder. Come back again, breathe in, breathe out, lock the elbow, climb the mountain as if you have 2 big rocks on the side. Come back, one last time, breathe in, breathe out, looking straight ahead, climb the mountain. Now we're going to stretch the spine. The spine is where all the yang energies are, right? So once again, we lock our fingers, pointing the palm upward, flip, pointing it down, push until you lock your elbow. Looking straight ahead, bring up your palm in front of you, on top of you. Bring it back slightly so you're forming a straight line between the bottom of your spine, top of the head, and the center of your palm. And you push, locking your elbow, and then holding that and lean back, stretching the spine. Come back to the middle, keep pushing, and then lean to the left, bending, stretching the spine. Come back to the middle, stretch again, lean to the right, and then come back to the middle one more time, stretch, and then to the left, come back to the middle, push to the right, come back to the middle, and then follow the center of your palm, and then bring it back, right? So if you have pets and an animal right now, we have a cat, and then in a couple of weeks we have 2 more dogs. You know, we're dog sitting, cat sitting, and you notice that the pets, they always stretch their spine. This is how they restore the yang energy. Right? In yoga, we have downward dog. That's the same thing. All right. Okay, let's continue. Open the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Now let's take our right hand, put that on the left shoulder, lean back the forehead. So we're putting pressure on the right shoulder. Take the left hand, grab the right elbow, sit up straight, and then stretch the spine towards the left. And then come back, changing hand, and then stretch the spine to the right, and then come back, focusing on the breath, restoring the harmony in an autonomous nerve system. And once again, open the shoulder, lean back, relax, taking the left hand, palm facing up, taking the right hand, put that between the fingers in the palm, Bring the hands down, focus on the elbow, push the elbow, looking straight ahead. Bring up the hand, locking the elbow, pointing the palm forward. Without turning the upper torso, let's take the left hand and stretch it to the right. Come back, relax, sit up straight, take the right hand, bring it down, focus on the elbow, push the elbow, lock the elbow, looking straight ahead, bringing the hands up. And then without turning the upper torso, let's take the right hand and stretch it to the left. Come back and then relax. Focusing on breath, restoring the harmony. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now open that shoulder. Relax, taking the right hand, pointing it upward, taking the left hand, pointing it down, open the shoulder, bending the wrist 90 degrees. I imagine the sky has fallen on your right palm. I want you to push the sky up until you lock your elbow, wrist at 90 degrees. Now imagine somehow the earth had come up and you want to push it back down, locking the elbow, wrist at 90 degrees. Now I want you to take your right hand, lean back slightly. Then I want you to take the head, rotate to the left until you get to the shoulder. I want you to keep rotating the eyes as if you're looking at the back, stretching the muscles behind your eyes. And then come back, everything relax. Now change hand, open the shoulder again. Palm facing up, wrist at 90 degrees, push. And then on the right hand, palm facing down, wrist at 90 degrees, push, locking your elbows. Taking the left hand, lean back, turn your head to the right, stop, and then turn your eyes all the way back. Bring everything back, and then relax, okay? All right, so we are stretching, but we're not stretching muscles necessarily. We're actually stretching the meridians, the connective tissue, okay? Now we're gonna stretch the spine again. The spine is that important. Okay, now sit up straight, open that shoulder, relax. Taking your hands, lock the fingers, palm facing up. Now flip, far facing down, push until you lock your elbow. All right, now focus on the center of your palm and the top of your head at the same time. Push your hands down, lift up your head, one up, one down, stretch your spine, and then relax. Now bring up your hand, and then looking back, and then stretch it as hard as you can. And then relax back to the sitting position, back to your breath, restoring the harmony. Now open the shoulder, lean back and relax. Taking your right hand, put that on your back, lean back, and then focus on your right shoulder and lift up your right shoulder. And then relax. Do the same thing on the other side, looking straight ahead. Lift up your left shoulder and then relax. Back to the breath. Open the shoulder. Take your right hand, back of the hand to the lower part of your spine. Take two fingers, point that to the left shoulder. Bring down your right shoulder, fingers up, and then relax. Do the other side, looking straight ahead. Bring down your left shoulder, fingers up, and then two hands, looking straight ahead. Right shoulder up, left shoulder down, and then relax. The other side. Looking straight ahead, left shoulder up, right shoulder down, and then relax. Back to the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay, all right, sit up straight. Take your hands, palm touching each other, fingers pointing down, put that on your lower back. Turn, fingers pointing up, looking straight ahead, bring it up, palm touching. Now open your shoulder, push your palm forward. And then relax, back to the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time, all right? So we talk about yin and yang, and I always said yang is restorative. You may say, what are you restoring? What are you restoring? Well, another way to look at some of these modern lifestyle disease, especially when it comes into a lot of skin disease, a lot of autoimmune disease, is just that you're losing your own self-healing capability. And your self-healing comes from the yang, comes from the energetic side, comes from the fight or flight. Because when you're in danger, your body releases natural steroid called cortisol. Cortisol's purpose is to reduce inflammation. But the problem is that when you lose that harmony, you develop what's called cortisol resistance. You're no longer sensitive to your own healing agent. And so when we call restorative, after you do an energetic exercise, let the body release the healing agent, reduce inflammation, then you need to come back and restore your sensitivity to the healing, right? Restore the sensitivity healing. Now, so after I graduated from university, received my PhD, I did about 2 years worth of work for a company called Kodak, and and then that's a different story. And then I become a professor, and then I ran my own company, started my own company. I did that for 12 years. Did 2 companies, so I was a CEO once for my own company, and so I pay attention to I was in the process of learning how to be a chief executive. So I read a lot of books. I do a lot of observation. Now, in order to be a chief executive, you need skills. You need a lot of different things. Actually, it requires a particular biological function. And that biological function is how you control your cortisol. Right? So back in the days when I was running my own company, I would go days. I mean, not days, but it's very common that I would go 36 hours without sleep. Right? And then as soon as I get a chance to sleep, I can restore myself. So that's one of the skills is when you need cortisol, it has to come right away, because that's when you do things that requires a lot of strength and energy. And then when you don't need it, you need to restore it quickly, right? So I remember talking about this couple, and she's still around. She's an amazing lady. She's in her 90s now. I forgot her name, and but back in the days when she was young, she and her husband were studying the gorillas and the chimpanzees in the middle of Africa, and they were interested in how a particular member of the gorilla family would become the alpha male. You know, alpha male is your CEO, it's the chief executive. And so I don't know how, but they would manage to measure take samples of the blood and measure cortisol level. And the conclusion they come to is that the alpha male are the one where on demand the cortisol rise faster than anyone. And then on demand the cortisol comes down faster than anyone. And so that's the energetic and the restorative. That's the yin and yang, right? So we don't need to be executive. We don't need to be CEO all the time, but we need to learn that to help us with our longevity is to understand the importance of the harmony. Is okay. All right. Let's continue with the exercise. Let's do some joint exercise now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now from the knee to the heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the hip. The hip is very important. When you fall, and I've seen many cases when someone elders fall, and that's the beginning of the end. Once you fall, it's very difficult to recover. And so, what prevents you from falling is the restorative energy that you have from your hip. So you need to have a very flexible hip. So when you fall, you know how to get it back up, right? Okay. All right. So let's work on a hip. So let's stand on the right foot, and then lean back to the left foot. Toes are up, and then turn between the knee, the hip, and the shoulder, and then come back and then relax. Second time, turn forward and then relax. One last time. Turn as much as you can, and then forward, and then relax. Now to the left. Bring it to the right. Heels up, toes up. Turn forward, and then relax. Turn forward, and then relax. One last time. Turn forward, and relax. Okay? Now to the breathing exercise. Remember now, mind, diligence, breath, and then the body. Okay? So mind, meaning that I focus my mind on the center of my palm. 1, 2, 3, and 4. One more time. Keep going. 1, breathe in. 2, breathe out. And then relax. Okay? Let the breath lead the body. Let the body follow the breath. Okay? Get ready. Breathe in. Focus on your breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Changing form. Breathe in. And then breathe out. All the way out. Okay? Focus on the breath. Let the body follow. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Now let's meditate while we're standing. Okay, focus on our breath. 1 minute of standing meditation. Now, standing meditation is actually very good for your health because you're activating the calf by unlocking your knee. Okay, that's your second heart. And this is known to be very important for your brain. And people who have dementia, like my father, this is the part that deteriorate. A calf is very important. That's why we recommend people walk as you get old. Learn to walk. Either on flat land, go into the park, or walk up and down the stairs when it's bad weather. One breath at a time. Okay, now we do what's called the balloon breathing. Right foot forward, lean back, toes are up, looking at the ceiling. Bring your hands high enough so you can see with the corner of your eye. Follow the center of your palm, and then follow the center of your palm. Open up, breathing in. Okay, now let the body follow. Focus on your breath. Breathing out, all the way out. In, out. Breathing in, breathing out. One more time. Breathing in, breathing out. Now focus on the center of your palm. Bring it down. Focus on the bottom of your feet. 1, 2, and then loosening up your knee. And then focusing on your breath. Start with knowing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now to the left. Get ready. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let the body follow. Breathe in. Breathe out. Focus on the center of your palm. One breath at a time. Breathe out. Follow the breath. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lower your hand back into the standing. 1 minute of standing meditation. Loosening up your knee. Use the calf to support your body. Let the fire element rise. Okay. Next one's called butterfly. So open your shoulder, looking straight ahead. Follow the center of your palm. And then down, lower your knee. Up, looking straight ahead. Raise your heel until the back of the hand touches. Now, focus on your breath. Breathing in, let the body follow. Breathing out, all the way out. In, out. In, out. One more time. In, out. Okay. Bring it back down. Another minute. Okay. Now, this one's called push hand. Right foot forward, looking straight ahead. Imagine there's a water wheel in front of you. You focus on the center of your palm. You follow the water wheel to the front, to the top. Bring it back down. As you bring down, you lower your left knee. You bring your hands all the way down to your hip. You're looking straight ahead to the center of the water wheel and you push. You breathe in, open your shoulder, and you breathe out, pushing from the back of your hip where the kidneys are. Breathing in, open your shoulder, breathing out. Now, as you breathe in, you enter into the fight or flight. As you breathe out, you enter into the rest and digest, restoring the harmony between your autonomous nervous system, restoring the self-healing power. Breathing in, breathing out. Let the body follows the breath. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more time. Breathe in, open the shoulder. Breathe out, push. Come back. Okay. That's why this one is called pushing hand, right? You push when you breathe out, very gently. Now, my master, in addition to being a Buddhist monk, he was once upon a time a martial art. He was a mixed martial art fighter, basically, long before the word was invented. But still, once a year, he would teach martial arts students, and they would stand for 1 hour like that. Okay, now to the left. Get ready. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. In. Open that shoulder. Bring it all the way down to the hip and push. Breathe out. In. Out. Follow the breath. Focusing on the breath. Follow the hand. Out. In. Out. One last time. In. Out. Come back. Last 1 minute standing meditation. Okay. Now, so one time I was in Malaysia. This is long before the pandemic. I was in Malaysia with my master, and we were visiting a family. And turns out that the grandfather, he was in his late 80s. He was suffering from Parkinson, and but his body was so weak, there wasn't much that my master can do for him. And so he said, "Well, here's what you do." So he walks on a stroller. And he says, put your shoulder in front of you and just stand. Just stand. But don't lean on the stroller. Just kind of hold it for balance and try to stand, activating the calf. Now, if you activate the calf, the yang energy would rise, and that would actually help your brain. And so he did that. Eventually, it was too late, and he did pass away, of course. And but it does help improving the quality of his life. So if you know anyone who couldn't really join us in this exercise because their body is too weak, this is the minimum that they can do. Just hold on to the the um, the stroller, but don't use it. Don't lean on it. Just kind of hold on to it for balance and loosening up your knee. That's it. That's it. It works. Okay. All right. So one last thing. Now this one actually not too many people can do it. So if you can do it, this is amazing. Right? Okay, get ready. Open your shoulders. Relax. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up. Taking a breath in. Now, get ready. Open your knee. As you open your knee, you squat down. You breathe out and you push forward. Then you breathe in again. And you bend to the back. and then relax. Right? This is actually very, very demanding. Breathe out. Breathe in. Relax. Okay, I'll let you see on the side. Get ready. One last time. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then relax. Okay? Now, come back. We still have, let's meditate for about 3 minutes, meditating on the breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Focus on the lower part of your spine. As you breathe in, you stretch your spine. As you breathe out, you lean back and relax. Okay, 3 minutes. So I talk a great deal about improving the quality of sleep is very important for longevity. So once again, the 5 things you need to do is and for nutrition. Use food as your medicine and focus on food that improve your digestive health, your probiotic health, right? So I've posted a couple of articles and on fermentation, right? So fermentation is our original way, is the humans' original way of preserving food. So our body are used to fermented food. So of course these days we're focusing more on artificial preservative, which actually kills the probiotics in your stomach. So think about all the things that would improve your nutrition, treating food as medicine, focusing on your digestive health, probiotic, consume more food that are naturally fermented, naturally preserved. That's N. E is exercise. Exercise to restore the harmony between your energetic and your restorative. Too many times we focus on just the energetic. We already have too much. Um, um, we're already excited all the time. So focus on finding that balance. U is unwind. It's very important that you find time to unwind, listen to music, walking in the park with your loved one, holding hands while you're watching TV, meditating, and so forth. R is sleep, is rest and restoration. It's very important. And then finally, O. O is your mind, how to be open to compassion, loving kindness, sharing, and all that. So I want to talk a little bit about restoration and rest and restoration. So I talked with you that we need to develop a habit of going to sleep before 11 o'clock, right? I shoot for 10:30, but I end up somewhere around 11. And it's because when we talk about the meridians, the gallbladder and the liver is between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So you want to be nicely rest, go to sleep as if you're getting a blood transfusion in those 4 hours. So the question is, what time should you wake up in the morning, right? What time should you wake up in the morning? Now, I just came back from Japan, and a lot of people go to Japan for different things. I go to Japan for two things. One is just detox, right? I go to the villages. I go into the mountains where people are still eating the old-fashioned way. Lots of probiotic, lots of fermentation, very simple food, lots of food with water-soluble fiber and all that. But I also go for the hot spring. Yeah, it's a Buddhism. When they talk about Japan being Buddhism, they talk mainly about Okinawa, but it's actually not true. It's really an entire way of living, and the Japanese way of living, aging is really the Zen tradition. The Zen tradition is really um, accepting impermanence, right? And accepting imperfection in life. You know? But anyway, that's a different conversation. So what I want to talk about is, when are you supposed to go to the hot spring? Right? It's available 24 hours basically, but there's a tradition that you don't go before 5 o'clock in the morning. Right? So a lot of people go 24 hours, but actually I was taught to not go before 5 o'clock. Now, you know that in Japan, the religion is both Buddhism and Shintoism. And Shintoism just means that everything has spirit. Everything has spirit. It's very similar to Hinduism, right? It's everything has spirit. The rock has spirit. The tree has spirit. The water has spirit. So you will find that a lot of the hot springs, if they are more than 150 years old, they are usually associated with a monk. A monk. A monk travels someplace and met someone who needed healing and point to a place where there could be spring water. And the hot spring is actually for healing. But in order for that water to be beneficial to human, the monk actually has to have a conversation with the spirit, right? Has to really work with spirit, enlighten the spirit, and it's actually exchanged. The spirit would then make sure that the water is available to heal, but at the same time, the humans will make offering to the spirit. So you see all that. It's kind of hidden behind. And the tradition is that the spirit wakes up between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And that's the time when they enjoy the bath. So don't go before 5. So a practitioner, someone who's focused on practicing, will wake up between 5 to 7. That's when I wake up. I wake up at slightly between 5:45 and 6 o'clock. That's the right time to wake up, 5 and 7, if you want to practice spiritually. Now, 7 to 9 is okay. 7 to 9 is very comfortable with us, so that's fine. 9 to 11 is not good because the sun is already up, and you really want to wake up before the sun to be with the sun to absorb the yang energy. Okay, that's just an interesting story. So anyway, I'll see you all next week. Let us all be blessed with health, with happiness, and with peace. Namaste. Okay, 星期一見，拜拜。多謝陳老師，多謝大家支持。OK，拜拜。拜拜。